How to go from zero to multiple six-figure wedding photography and filmmaking business. What's up, guys? Jordan Correces here, co-owner of the WLMA, the most result-based business mastermind for wedding photographers and filmmakers worldwide. The reason why I run this channel is to help more wedding photographers and filmmakers scale to that six-figure and multiple six-figure business, and that's precisely what we're going to be doing in this short video as well. So I'm going to move over to my screen and let's dive into the training. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the 4 entrepreneurial stages to literally go from zero to the multiple six figures in your wedding photography or filmmaking business. I learned these from Layla Hormozi. And also with these stages, what you should be doing in each of those stages to move on and get to the next level, and why people get stuck in certain stages. That way you can build an awareness, you can see exactly where you are at in your wedding photography or filmmaking business, and you know exactly what actions to take so you can get to that next level, eventually get to that multiple six-figure level. And just in case this is your first video you're ever watching of me, you don't know who I am, and you're wondering why you should be listening and watching this video, I'm Jordan Correces, co-owner of www.wlma.co. We are a team of six-figure wedding photographers and filmmakers. We have coached almost 1,000 wedding photographers and filmmakers worldwide. I believe to this day, we have maybe about 850 students. We've helped a ton of them scale to that six-figure and multiple six-figure. We've not only done it, but we've been repeatedly able to get people to those levels. So we see the patterns all the time. I'm going to break down those patterns for you. And I truly believe with how many results we're seeing come in every single month with our students, we have the best student track record of getting people to those levels. So here's a group shot of some of our students. Here's one of our former students that we now work with on our team, Aid Meadows. We helped him to six figures his first year in business. Here's our student, Ballman Bingham. We recently just helped him to $200,000 a year. Rago, six figures this year. Cal Condor, $212,000 a year. Christora, over here, $350,000 a year. And here's Tom Russo, $450,000 a year. And even Nathan Horwitz came from Bouquet Podcast, joined us at this mastermind event where our students from all over flew in from everywhere. So you're going to learn a lot from this short training. Let's dive straight into the good stuff. Now, there are 4 stages I'm going to be talking about with you. Number 1, it's called unconscious incompetence. Number 2, conscious incompetence. Number 3, conscious competence. And number 4, unconscious competence. And we're actually going to be going, I have it listed out on this pyramid over here. We're going to be going from bottom to top right over here. So let's start in the very beginning. For those who are in this unconscious incompetence phase and they want to get to a place where they can build, a multiple six-figure photography or filmmaking business. Unconscious incompetence. Another word for this is you don't know you suck. Not necessarily when it comes to photography, but you don't know you suck yet when it comes to actually building a business. You are in this dabbler phase. You are in this, what I also call wantrepreneur phase. Also what this might look like, photography or filmmaking, it might be a hobby or it might be a side hustle for you. Maybe, you're only making $0 to $2,000 a month, give or take, from photography or filmmaking. You're lightly considering starting a photography business. And right now you're probably shooting all types of niches. You're doing seniors, you're doing weddings, you're doing events, you're doing anything that comes your way. And you're just getting a lot of experience. At this point, maybe you listen to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk because a huge part of his audience are people in this wantrepreneur phase, and he helps people get into the mindset and mentality, of building a business. And you probably listen to a lot of beginner podcasts when it comes to photography, filmmaking, and a little bit when it comes into business as well. And at this stage, you are naive to the real challenges of starting a business. You don't know what you don't know. You love the idea of starting a full-time photography or filmmaking business, but you're very much just kind of on the surface level. And this is just the beginning of the journey. You're probably just in that 5% of your way there to actually getting this to a multiple six-figure business. Now, take a moment, see if this is you in this unconscious incompetence phase. Now, this is why people get stuck here. People get stuck in the unconscious incompetence phase, of building their business. Is one, they may not actually be aware of the stage that they're truly at. And then when they don't have this awareness, they often quit because they start putting themselves out there, trying to market their business. They hit some failures, they hit some rejections, and they quit and they get discouraged. Because they don't have a true understanding of what it takes and the failures that they're going to run across, and they're getting discouraged. Because of this, they have a fear to make the true leap to turn this into a full-time business. So they often fear failure. They're scared to make a true leap. And also maybe they never niched down. They're just kind of shooting everything. They never found that niche that they are going to specialize in, so they can make a much more powerful brand. So those are often the reasons why people get stuck in this unconscious incompetence phase, what I also call the wantrepreneur or dabbler phase. If you are in this wantrepreneur or dabbler phase, what should you do in this stage so you can beat it, so you can get through it? Number one, these all depend on kind of where you're at in this stage, but you should be experimenting and shooting a lot because you need to narrow down your niche. So you should be shooting a ton of niches, see which one you are truly most passionate and love the most. Maybe that ends up becoming weddings. You should be educating yourself a lot on these different niches to figure out what is the area that you want to pursue. Along with this, one to help you figure it out as well, you should be shadowing more, let's say if you want to do weddings, more wedding photographers and filmmakers. Maybe these are second shooting opportunities. And because you still don't know what you don't know, you need to put yourself in a position where you can learn more about the clientele, the customer journey that they go through, the different workflows, the systems, the pros and cons, and the do's and don'ts of whatever niche you want to pursue. So I recommend, shadowing or second shooting, 3 to 5 wedding photographers or filmmakers that you know. That way you can get to a place where you can ensure that you love this niche and you know this is what you want to pursue. Then finally, once you've gotten to that point where you know this is going to be hard for a lot of people, but you need to decide to make that leap to start a business, start building and launching that website, launch that LLC, make an announcement so you really get committed, and understand you're going to fail a lot, and that's okay. And you need to have that mentality because if you don't have a clear, realistic understanding of the failures that you're going to go through, you're going to end up quitting. You're going to end up getting discouraged and you're just going to end up quitting. So understand you're about to partake in a very difficult journey, and that's okay. So for example, kind of what my story looked like when I was transitioning, from this entrepreneur phase to starting my business. I was actually in Bolivia and Peru about 10 years ago, and I was doing photojournalism and PR for these nonprofits that I was volunteering for. And that's where I really found my love for photography at that time. It wasn't very good, but it's where I was truly finding my passion for it. I was a dabbler at this phase. When I got back to the States, I started dabbling into senior portraits, family portraits, weddings, events, concerts, all kinds of stuff. I was dabbling and I was starting to get my foot into this entrepreneur phase where I realized that entrepreneurship was really a thing that I could do, was an option that I had. And when I started diving more into weddings, it finally got to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this my full-time career. I'm passionate about this. This is what I want to do. And I took that leap. I made an announcement. So I really got committed to this. And I started just promoting my business the best I could. It was just through a little bit of social media and word of mouth at that time. But that's what got me out of that entrepreneur phase and into the next stage that I'm about to explain right now. So we talked about unconscious incompetence. You don't know you suck. You're a entrepreneur, a dabbler in this phase. Now we're diving into conscious incompetence. So another word for conscious incompetence is you know you suck. You know you suck at business. So at this point, several things may have happened. You have made the leap and commitment to start a business. You've built an LLC. You've built a website and you're working on maybe up-leveling that portfolio. You're promoting your business on social media through word of mouth, whatever you know how. Maybe you've been working on promoting this business for months to maybe even years, and you're starting to have big goals in mind. And through this experience that you are putting yourself in, now you've gotten to a place where you are very conscious in your incompetence. You're figuring things out on your own. You're getting leads mainly through word of mouth, affiliates. You've tried other things like fairs, SEO, which is helping you build more awareness of what you truly don't know. And at this point, you're likely making maybe only around $10,000 to $90,000 a year. It can range, and I wanted to put a pretty good range for those who maybe sometimes people are really good at photography and they have gotten lucky without knowing any business at all and they're able to hit these types of years. But let's say you're only making $10,000 to $90,000 a year. And this is maybe only about the first 10 to 30% of your journey to getting to that multiple six-figure level. But through this experience, you're finding that your business lacks consistency and it lacks predictability. you know your business is struggling. You're getting a pretty clear picture of where it's struggling, but you're unclear how to fix it. You're like, I know I need more leads, but how do I get more leads? I know like I can probably use these strategies. How do I do these strategies? And you're running your business by what I call hope strategy. You have no predictability. And I like to compare hope strategy to this. Imagine there's a target 100 yards down. You have a rifle, but it's super foggy out, and you have to shoot that target. But because it's so foggy, you can't even see a foot in front of you. You're just shooting blindly, hoping one of those bullets stick into the target. That's how it feels like you're running your business sometime. And because you're in this place where you're conscious of the things that you don't know and you know you suck at business, you're in consumption mode. Because you found this video and you're watching this video, you're probably in this consumption mode. You're watching a ton of YouTube videos. You're searching how to get leads, how to get clients, how to build a brand. Maybe you've seen ads. You're clicking on webinars to learn how to grow your business. You're reading a bunch of blogs, podcasts on how to grow your business, and books. And probably what your day looks like, 80% of your day is probably a lot of busy work, a lot of editing, a lot of communicating with current clients, but you don't know what strategies and what your day should look like to continue move your business forward. Majority of the people watching this video are most likely in this phase. Conscious incompetence. You know you suck at business. You may be great at the art, but you're not much of a business person. Now, why do people get stuck here? Well, number one, you don't have a plan or a system to follow. Or maybe you have found a plan, but you lack commitment to that plan, meaning you have shiny object syndrome. Let's say you learned a strategy, you stuck to it for a month. You learned another strategy, you stuck to it for a month. And you're jumping to all these different things, so you're doing a lot of work, but you're not getting the results that you want. Some people get stuck in this area because they fear failure, which creates self-sabotage. And some people get stuck in this because their fear of risk. This is usually a time where you need to make some of the biggest risks and even investments in your business because you don't know what you don't know and you need to learn these things. And oftentimes that fear of risks keeps entrepreneurs from taking the actions that they need to learn the things that they need to learn and take action towards certain strategies that can be difficult, but they need to do. Now, if you are stuck in this stage of conscious incompetence, there's several things that you need to do. Number one, this is a must. You must find business mentors, programs, or masterminds. This way you actually have a plan. Life is short, growing a business is hard, and what makes us different than animals is as humans, we don't just have the ability to learn from our own mistakes, but we have the ability to learn from other people's mistakes. And that is literally the fastest way to scale and grow a business is to learn from other people's mistakes. So the number one thing that entrepreneurs in this stage need to do is they need to find business mentors, programs, masterminds where they can learn from other people's mistakes. Even if you're just following, say, 50% of someone else's plan, that is so much better than not having a plan at all. You need to collaborate with others on the same path. So as an example, let's say you have two people in a room collaborating. They want to scale a wedding photography business. Those two people, they're talking, they're testing, they're communicating the things that they've tried, what has worked, what doesn't work. And because it's two people, they're able to learn from each other. But let's say you have a room of 50 people. Those 50 people are all working, testing, experimenting, and communicating at the same time on what they have found has worked and has not worked. Those people in the room of 50 are going to scale and grow their businesses much faster than those people in the room of two people because they're able to learn, communicate, and test and see what works and doesn't work so much faster. So not only do you need to find a mentor who can give you a plan, but you need to find a community of like-minded people who can collaborate to speed up your results. Number three, you need to get focused. When you find that business plan that you feel works out best for you, you need to avoid shiny object syndrome. You must focus and you must be willing to commit and be willing to do the boring work. As artists, we have fun shooting, we have fun creating, we have fun creating art. Learning business and implementing actions of marketing and sales can be very boring for us. But if you actually want to take things to the next level, scale things to the multiple six-figure level, you have to be able to commit to this. And you have to be able to take bigger risks investing in your business and knowledge, especially in this stage, or you're always going to be stuck. Learn from your failures and also focus on PPAs, what means profit producing activities. In this stage, people often find themselves focused and reacting a lot to client interactions, client communication, editing, shooting, a lot of the busy work. Those are things that still need to happen in the business. You need to focus on things and actually push the business forward. So this is what a PPA is. A profit producing activity is anything that, number one, gets leads. Number two, nurtures leads so there's trust with that lead. Number three, gets them to inquire. And number four, actually books that wedding and creates profit in your business. If it does not do any of those four things, it is not a PPA. So you need to rework your systems, maybe outsourcing editing, so you can focus more on profit producing activities. And so this will be the heaviest learning stage for you. This will be the scariest and the time where you're taking the biggest risks in your business. And that's something to be prepared for as well mentally. So for example, like our student Aiden, he ended up getting fired from his job. He wanted to build a full-time wedding photography business. But the thing is, he was in a place of conscience incompetence. He didn't know how to get leads. He didn't know how to do marketing funnels. He didn't know how to sell. He didn't know how to build his brand. And he had to learn all of those things. And it's when he focused, when he found mentors, we were able to mentor him. And we were able to teach him these things. He was able to scale his business to 6 figures his first year in business. What takes most people years and years to do, we're able to do it in 1 year. So if you're in the stage where what probably most of you are in right now of conscious incompetence, you know you suck at business, focus on these things so you do not get stuck. So now we went over the unconscious incompetence of the dabbler and the entrepreneur. We went into conscious incompetence. You know you suck at business and what that journey looks like so you don't get stuck. Now we're into conscious competence. Conscious competence, you know you're good at this point. So at this point, you might be maybe making around $100,000 to $150,000 a year, give or take. You've probably learned from a mentor or mentors, and you have a decent to good lead engine. You have a decent to good lead nurturing process and acquisition process, and you maybe have a decent to good brand at this point. You've learned and you've been taking action. The things you've learning are actually becoming skills for you, but you still need refinement. Now, this is the longest part of your journey. When you've learned marketing, you've learned sales, you've learned branding, you've been implementing it for some time, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And if I could, I just got this pyramid from Canva. I would make this shape here of conscious competence the biggest shape. If you're in this area of conscious competence, why do people get stuck here? Number one, people get stuck in this stage because they are content. If you're not very hungry, if you're satisfied where you're at, you're likely going to stay where you're at or sometimes even regress. Number two, one or more area has not reached the full potential. So maybe, you're getting a lot of leads, you have a great funnel, but you're still undercharging. You're only booking $3,500 weddings when your work is worth $10,000. Maybe you've built an awesome brand. Your nurturing process is decent and you're booking $7,500 weddings, but you're still not getting enough leads. One or more of these areas of these four here are lacking and needs work and practice. People also get stuck because of time. They're shooting more weddings. They don't have a lot of time to focus on building the business. And also still shiny object syndrome can be a factor at this point as well. So if you're in this stage of conscious competence, you know you're good, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. What to do in this stage so you can break this plateau and you can scale to the multiple 6 figures. Number one, you must get hungry and focused again. If you are content and you're not focused on pushing the business forward, you're not going to push the business forward. Number two, you need to be able to diagnose where the weaknesses in your funnel are. You should be much more educated at this time and you should be able to see, okay, I'm not scaling because of A or B. I'm not scaling because though I have a great brand and I'm building a lot of raving fans, not enough people are knowing about me. Or I have a lot of inquiries coming in, but I'm not able to convert those conversions as high and as much as I need to. Number three, at this point, it'll take longer. You may be educated enough to be able to figure out and problem solve those issues on your own. But still, for many people, find a mentor and a place to collaborate so you can fix those issues much, much faster. Remember that example I shared with you about the room of 50 people compared to 2 people. Who's going to scale more quickly? Who's going to solve more problems? And then if you're in this stage, you must outsource the busy work. If you're shooting and editing all day and you're replying to emails all day and client communication the entire day, you're not going to be able to push the business forward. Leverage outsourcing and systems so you can focus 80% of your time on PPAs, profit producing activities. Get leads, nurture leads, book leads. That's where 80% of your time should be spent. And that is the conscious competence phase. This is the longest phase that you're going to experience. So unconscious incompetence, the dabbler / entrepreneur. Conscious competence, you've experienced a little bit more, but you're aware that you suck at business. Conscious competence, you've been mentored, you've been collaborating, you're learning much, much more, and you're in the heavy implementation phase, but you still need refinement here. And then finally, unconscious competence. Another word to say that is mastery. Because think of it like this. Conscious competence is maybe like your second time navigating a driving route where you kind of know where to go, you kind of know the things to look out for to make sure you're headed in the right direction, but you still need some help. Unconscious competence is when you've driven that road so many times where you do it like the back of your hand. You've mastered the skills of the entrepreneur to continue scaling. So if you're in the unconscious competent phase, you might, give or take, be making $200,000 to $500,000 a year. You've experienced hitting that cap, and people here often scale further by either building an associate team or sometimes building a second stream of revenue. I'll go into that a little bit later. You've mastered your lead engine, how you get leads every single month, your nurturing process to build a raving fan base, and your acquisition process so you can get those $5,000 to $10,000 weddings. And you've also elevated your brand so you are truly attracting, those ideal dream clients. Now, why do people get stuck here? With mastery, there's always still room to grow. Why do people get stuck here? So they plateau and they don't continue to scale up that ladder. Number one, you're using the same strategies from when you were struggling. Let's say you scaled to your first 6 figures through Facebook and Instagram ads, and you've plateaued at, say, $150,000, $200,000 a year. You very likely need to add a strategy on top of that, like SEO, vendor referrals, word of mouth, etc. A photographer cap. If you're working alone, there's only so many weddings you can shoot. You may cap at $150,000, $200,000 a year. And also poor systems and workflows that take up too much time, that aren't very time efficient. Now, if you're stuck and you've plateaued in this area, what do you do in this stage? Number one, you need to start focusing on strategies that build brand longevity. Like the example that I showed, on top of ads, you may need to start adding in more vendor connections and SEO so you can build. Those are all great strategies that build brand longevity. Sometimes elevating the brand is what's needed to build brand longevity. If you've plateaued, you've been a one-man team, you've plateaued at $200,000 a year, you have to choose one of these options to break that. The safest option, which most people do, they add on associates and train associates so they can work with more weddings. Number two, find a way for repeated customers. That may be album sales for after the wedding. For some people, that may be a secondary brand where they shoot sessions after their wedding, like families, newborns, seniors, etc. And then for some who are passionate in this field, they're able to break that plateau by jumping into the online education industry. Because they are masters now, they're able to teach their expertise and other people want to learn from it. So before you choose any of those, think deeply with these choices to, number one, avoid shiny object syndrome so you don't lose your focus, and to ensure whatever decision you choose that you are happy with your vision in the long term. What also needs to happen is you need to refine your systems and workflows for the highest efficiency with your time. So for example, our student Tom, we worked with him from the very beginning when he was only making maybe $500 a month. We eventually helped him get to over $200,000 a year, and he wanted to continue scaling further. So some of the steps that he had to make was, number one, he needed to elevate his brand. So if he wanted to scale, where he's at right now to $450,000 a year, get to a point where, number one, he was growing his associate team. And number two, his clients didn't just want to work with him, but also wanted to work with his associates at a high ticket price. So number one, that took rebranding. Number two, his skills when it came to systems, workflows, and scaling and managing a team. And number three, outsourcing a lot of things that could be outsourced. Number one, actually outsourcing and finding a social media manager, finding virtual assistants to handle things that other people can do, outsourcing editing, and obviously outsourcing more weddings for associate photographers. That way he could focus on being more of a CEO and focus more on PPAs to continue scaling his business. So those are the 4 stages on how to go to literally from zero to a multiple 6-figure business. Unconscious incompetence, you're a entrepreneur. Conscious incompetence, you know a little bit more from experience. You've taken the leap, but you still suck at business. Conscious competence, you've learned from a mentor, you've collaborated, and now you're in the heavy, longest stage of actually taking action and refining those strategies. And unconscious competence, when you've built mastery with the skills, the entrepreneurial skills that you've learned. And those are the 4 stages on how we've taken a lot of our students from struggling artists to 6-figure to multiple 6-figure wedding photography and filmmaking businesses. So I'm curious, Which stage are you in? Comment below. I'd love to hear what stage you find yourself in. I'll comment any questions that you have as well. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to like, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, so you don't miss out on more of our content. And if you're a wedding photographer or a filmmaker, maybe in any of these stages, and you want to master lead generation, marketing funnels, sales, branding, even building an associate team, be sure to check out the description of this video. You can find this link where you can learn more about our WLMA program and mastermind, and actually also find a free demo so you can see if it's something that's a good fit for you or not. Anyways, I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I'll see you on the next one.